What's up, YouTube? YugiohTube here, and if you hadn't heard, it's breaking news from PSA if you like graded cards. PSA Cards Twitter themselves actually tweeted just yesterday that it's happening. This week, PSA's Collectors Club members will again have access to the value service level. That is going to start on Thursday, which is tomorrow, June 9th. There is not going to be an allocation, which means you have to get into a virtual queue or line to just get a chance to be able to submit. They are opening the, quote, floodgates tomorrow, June 9th. Now, here's the catch. The catch is no longer is it $20 per card, $25 per card if you're talking ultra modern sports cards. It's now $30 a card across the board. That's right, $30 per card. 20 card minimum, which isn't a big deal. It's from 96 to 2022 cards only. Declared value limit of $499 per card, which is a slight increase from what it was. It was $199 per card back when it was $20 and $25 a card in the sport card world. And the estimated turnaround time, which I don't even think about looking at, thinking of wasting my time with, is 120 days, which is 4 months. Now, it doesn't say if it's business days, it doesn't say if it's calendar days. Nonetheless, the 120-day turnaround, I don't trust anything when it comes to turnaround time. I hate to say it, PSA, I love you as a company, I love PSA, but when it comes to estimated turnaround times, you could go and forget about it. Submit it, expect it back in a couple years, and see what happens. Now, a couple things, my thoughts about this. First of all, there is some good news about this. The good news is, well, guess what? It's reopening value submission, value service, bulk service. So for the people that had those low to mid-end cards that were right on the cusp of, okay, I can't submit it for 50 bucks at the economy level. It's just too expensive to be worth me submitting at $50. $30 provides a little bit more of a buffer. Now, does that mean everyone's going to send in their commons to PSA and say this is 100% worth it? Absolutely not. One of the downsides of this $30 per card level is we no longer, as collectors, right, no longer have the ability to go for, quote, registry sets. Now, what is registry sets? Like, what are they? What do they mean? Registry sets just simply means I love Legend of Blue Eyes White Dragon. I want to collect all the LOB cards and PSA 9s and PSA 10s. Unfortunately, now at $30 a card, who in God's name wants to submit a common card and get a PSA 10 for $30? What if it comes back a PSA 7 or 8? Now you really just burned your money, threw it on fire, may as well use it for firewood or for a fire pit as we approach the summer season. Long story short, this price point, unfortunately, is a new reality. Unfortunately, the, quote, collector, quote, going for whole sets, even the common stuff in high grades or just graded cards, the entire sets, it's financially unrealistic to believe that these people are going to pay $30 per common card. If the card itself is worth $5, nobody in God's name is going to spend $30 to get it graded. Now, that brings up to the good side of this. The good side of this is with the $30 per card price point, the odds of PSA getting backlogged like it had been probably less likely, okay? Because again, for the same reason. So it's a double-edged sword. Yes, most people are not going to send in their commons, pieces of junk, Mike Trout cards, population, Zion Williamson, population 25,000s in PSA 10s. Nobody's going to send some of these cards anymore because it doesn't financially make any sense to do so. So these cheap, common piece of garbage cards that aren't collectible to some people, nobody's going to submit those anymore. Back when it was 15 a card, yeah, it's like, okay, if I submit it for 15 a card, if I sell it for 50, if it gets the 10, which is a high probability, then I'm still making some money, especially if I send in massive quantities. Nobody now is going to send in massive quantities of junk cards anymore. So while the collector suffers here, at the very least, we have some sort of, okay, it's not going to be backlogged PSA with a bunch of crap junk that's taking up a lot of the time. now you're probably going to have less demand to grade cards, right? Because simply put, financially, you don't want to grade all of that nonsense. So now that the demand is lessened for the grading of cards because the price point has gone up, now at least you could look at a turnaround time that is somewhat realistic. I'm not going to sit here and say this is 100% realistic. I don't trust, again, any sort of turnaround time that's possible, but I'm saying that there's a better chance that PSA will not get backlogged like it did before. Having said that, we look at the pluses and minuses of everything. Is there a chance that PSA, when they open the floodgates here on Thursday, June 9th, systems go down, the servers go down, PSAcard.com goes down, and everybody still submits at $30 a card, and that did not take PSA, or that did take PSA by surprise? Absolutely. We saw it. PSA at one point was $15 a card. They upped it to $20 and $25 a card for the sports, and guess what happened? Nobody flinched. Everybody said, here, take my money, and they still paid the $20 to $25. As PSA was getting backlogged, as the flood kept going into the building and they were drowning, they said, okay, in order to clog this flood or at least temporarily subside the flood until we get ourselves under control and figure out an issue to this, we're going to raise prices. They raised prices, the demand kept coming in, the influx of cards kept coming in, and eventually PSA drowned. As a result, we're seeing 2-year turnarounds. What I also don't like about this is the fact that there are still submissions, my submission included, and others that are 2 years old, sitting there for 2 years, and you're telling me that you're going to now open up the floodgates again? Why are you not taking all of these resources and grading what you have currently in inventory before you start opening the floodgates? I guess this is a sign that indeed the backlog is just about to be cleared, that they have patched the hole in the building, that the flood no longer is coming in anymore, and slowly but surely they had worked on that hole that was drowning the company that they had to shut down. So at least this is telling me, okay, what PSA probably is doing here is saying the backlog is diminishing very quickly. We are getting to the cards, even though as a consumer, I'm not necessarily, and other consumers are not necessarily happy about them opening another service before other cards are even graded that have been sitting there for 2 years. But I could see as a business perspective why they do it. Because the PSA is sitting here saying, well, look, very soon, within, let's say, the next 2 months, 1 to 2 months, we are going to have that backlog under control. When that happens, okay, we want to still be able to get some new inventory to start grading quickly. We don't want to waste our time and have to reopen the bulk service and just be sitting there twiddling our thumbs. So they kind of still want everyone to be efficient, and I understand why it's happening. Not that happy about it, but it's understandable. The good thing is 20 cards, 20 cards only, which is not a lot of cards. Typically with bulk in the old days, you would have to do 45, 50, 60, 70 cards. 20 card minimum, not that terrible. Only need 20 cards to be able to be eligible for this. You can mix modern sports cards. You can mix ultra modern sports cards, and you could put Yu-Gi-Oh! And you could put Pokemon, all in the same order from the looks of this, which makes that even more appealing, because now I don't have to separate the orders. I don't need 60 cards of this, 60 cards of this, 60 cards of this. No, you could put the Pokemon, you could put the Yu-Gi-Oh!, you could put the sports, modern, ultra modern, all in the same submission, and it's a lot easier, less of a headache. And the declared value, much better at $4.99. Another plus here. Much better at $4.99 compared to $199. Back in my day, the bulk submissions, at some points with the specials, PSA used to have specials, believe it or not, where the cost to grade a card, I remember doing Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon $6.50. That's right, $6.50 per Pokemon card to grade it. $6.50 for every Yu-Gi-Oh! Card, sometimes even less. I want to say that there was a chance that we had $5 card grading. This was only 4 to 5 years ago, not that long ago. Of course, $30 a card, new age, new time, but at least the declared value, unlike it was at $99 and $199, is now at $499. So at least you're not going to get those upcharges, unfortunately. So the bad thing, of course, there's still the outstanding subs. It could force another backlog if the demand is still there and PSA is miscalculating the demand like they did last time. But I think this is the right business move for PSA as much as I don't like it. And margins are very thin, okay, after grading, shipping, and insurance. So a lot of folks are not going to be happy because you have $30 a card. A lot of their cards could be right on that border, and they said, right when I submit this card to PSA, by the time it comes back, by the time it gets a 9, it gets a 10. If it gets a 9, I lose money. If it gets a 10, I gain, I don't know, 20% of what I put into it. Is it really worth it? That's a question that people are going to have to ask themselves. I think there's going to be a lot more selectivity, or people are going to be a lot more selective when it comes to choosing which cards to submit to PSA. They're also going to have to really inspect those cards, because if they come back 6s, it's just not going to be worth it. Higher inspection, higher selectivity when it comes to choosing which cards, more strategic thinking, more forward thinking makes this an interesting play. I'm not surprised. I'm somewhat happy that it's opening a little earlier than I expected. I was expecting, I think I said by the summer, so I would say more towards August. But I'm happy at least it's opening earlier. I'm not too thrilled with $30 a card. Lastly, what I think this is going to happen to the market, I think that the market is going to respond at $30 a card. The prices of those low to mid-end cards, I think, are going to go somewhat up. Do I think they're going to spike? No. But I think there might be a marginal increase. 10% increase in the current stuff that's sitting out there? Possibly. Because when it's $30 a card, I think people will take that into account. When they have a PSA 10 of a card going for $30, they said, well, it was $30 to grade this thing. Not much to lose there, and a lot of extra value added to the current slabs on the market. What do you guys think? I think this was a interesting move. I think it's the right business move. I think people are not going to like it. I could see why people don't like it. I could see why PSA did it. And I'm just intrigued to see how the demand responds to this. Is the site going to blow up again? I think there's a lot of people that still have a big stash of stuff that they were waiting to submit when bulk or value reopened. So again, I think initially you might have a big flood again, but I think PSA will be able to handle that flood. I think the cards coming in will be more selected, and I think as a result they'll be able to patch any hole that comes through and tries to drown the building much quicker than they had been about a year and a half ago. Until next time, I hope you enjoyed YugiohTube signing out.